All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something called the Citizen's Shield, which is really a way of understanding India's fundamental rights. You can think of them as the absolute bedrock of individual liberty in the world's largest democracy. It's a promise of protection, and we're about to unpack exactly what that means.
So let me start with a pretty big question. In any country, the government, what the Constitution calls the state, has a massive amount of power. So what's to stop that power from just running wild? What shield do you, as an individual citizen, actually have against all that?
Well, the answer is right here: fundamental rights. Now, these aren't just nice ideas or suggestions. They are actually inspired by the US Constitution, and they are legally enforceable guarantees. And that last part is key. It means that if one of these rights is violated, you can actually take the government to court. This is your core protection. Okay, so to really understand the shield, you need to know who you're being protected from. The Constitution defines the state in a really broad way. We're not just talking about the central government in Delhi. It's everyone: parliament, your state government, all the way down to your local city council, and even companies run by the government. So this is the main takeaway, the central idea for everything we're about to talk about. Your fundamental rights are designed to be a powerful shield. They draw a line in the sand that the state, in all its powerful forms, is not supposed to cross when it's dealing with you. So let's start peeling back the layers of this shield, shall we? And we'll begin with the two big ones, the ideas that really form the foundation: the promise of equality and the guarantee of freedom. The idea of equality here is incredibly thorough. It's not just about, being equal in a courtroom. It means the state can't discriminate against you based on your religion, race, or caste. It means you get a fair shot at government jobs. And it even goes a step further to correct historical wrongs by abolishing practices like untouchability and getting rid of old aristocratic titles. Building on that foundation of equality, we get to Article 19, which gives us 6 absolutely essential freedoms. These are the things that let you live like a free person in a democracy. You can speak your mind, you can gather with others peacefully, you can live and work anywhere you want in the country. Now, it's important to remember these aren't totally absolute. The government didn't put reasonable restrictions on them, say for public order. But they still form the very core of your personal liberty. But out of all these different rights, there's one that judges, lawyers, and scholars all pretty much agree is the big one. It's the one that's like the sun that all the other rights orbit around. And that's Article 21. The real magic of Article 21 is how it's been interpreted over the years. The Supreme Court has said that life and personal liberty doesn't just mean, breathing and not being in jail. It means so much more. It means the right to live with human dignity, the right to earn a livelihood, a right to privacy, and even a right to education. It's basically the constitutional foundation for a meaningful life. Okay, so this shield doesn't just protect your political freedoms. It also guards something much more personal: your basic human dignity, and your right to believe what you want to believe. This next layer is all about protecting the vulnerable and preserving India's incredible diversity. Now, this one is pretty straightforward, but it is so important. The Constitution puts a hard stop on the worst kinds of human exploitation. Things like forced labor, human trafficking, and putting children to work in dangerous jobs are completely banned. It's a vital protection for the most vulnerable people in our society. And these articles? Well, they're the bedrock of India's entire secular fabric. They don't just guarantee your personal freedom to practice your own faith. They also give specific protections to minority groups so they can preserve their unique cultures and even set up their own schools. It's what helps hold such a diverse country together. So, you've got this incredible shield, right? It's layered, it's strong, but what happens if the state actually tries to break through it? How do you, use the shield? Well, that brings us to the ultimate guarantee. To really understand just how big of a deal this next part is, you just have to hear what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the main architect of the Constitution, had to say. He called this next article the very soul of the Constitution and the very heart of it. Why? Because without it, all those other rights we just talked about are basically just empty promises on a piece of paper. And here it is, Article 32. This is what makes the whole system work. Get this. Article 32 is a fundamental right in and of itself. It is your right to go straight to the Supreme Court, the highest court in the country, if you feel any of your other rights have been violated. It's the enforcement button that gives the entire shield its power. So when you go to the Supreme Court using Article 32, how do they actually fix the problem? Well, they have these powerful legal tools called writs. For example, a writ of habeas corpus can get someone released from illegal detention. A writ of mandamus can literally order a public official to do their job. These are the legal teeth that give the shield its bite. So this all sounds incredibly powerful, right? But it leads to a really critical question. We've talked about how strong this shield is, but are there any cracks in it? Are there any situations where it can be weakened? Is it truly unbreakable? And the short answer is no, it's not completely unbreakable. During a declared national emergency, the game changes. The state gets a lot of extraordinary powers. And when that happens, those 6 freedoms we talked about under Article 19, like freedom of speech and assembly, they get automatically suspended. But, and this is probably the most important but in the entire Constitution, even in the darkest of times, even during the most serious national crisis, 2 rights can never, ever be taken away. That's Article 20, which protects you from unfair prosecution, and of course, Article 21, your right to life and personal liberty. That part of the shield is truly unbreakable. Okay, so let's boil all of this down. If you're going to walk away remembering just 4 things about your shield, make it these. Article 14, the right to be treated equally. Article 19, your 6 core freedoms. Article 21, the absolute unbreakable right to life and liberty. And finally, Article 32, the right to go to court and make sure all the others are protected. Which brings us to one last thought. Remember how Dr. Ambedkar called these rights the heart and soul of the Constitution? Well, a heart can't beat in a vacuum. It needs a body, a society, to keep it alive. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What is our role as citizens in keeping that heart and soul strong